Every couple of years, there's an anime that breaks the internet and expands the anime community. Demon Slayer was the latest series to do so with its incredible rise to fame and its record-breaking manga sales. And in no time at all, we already have another who's up next on the internet-breaking scale. And our next superstar is Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, this series is very, very special for many reasons, but in order for us to understand just truly how special Jujutsu Kaisen really is, I think we need to go over what really makes a true classic, what makes a true classic anime, what makes an anime iconic and special. And you have many examples of animes that have reached this threshold. We're talking One Punch Man, Death Note, Code Geass, Demon Slayer, My Hero at one point had reached these heights. Dr. Stone kind of had that trajectory, but it kind of fell off a little bit near the end, but it's still very popular, but it didn't break the internet the way things like Demon Slayer did. So what are the factors that really decide what is a special anime? Well, one, let's start off with presentation. With presentation, there are a few factors that really matter when it really separates itself from its other series and its other contemporaries. Things like animation, soundtrack, voice acting, and art style. Now, if we just start off with animation, there are many different ways to judge animation, and I'm not gonna act like I'm an animator here. Let's not do that, right? I barely know anything about animation, but just from the eye test, as a viewer, as a reader in certain senses, you can tell when the animation is clean. And knowing that Mappa Studios is in charge of this anime, just from what you've seen, Jujutsu Kaisen passes the eye test. It's very unique. It's very fluid with their emotions. It's very fluid with the action scenes as well. The animation has never been an issue, and it's been universally recognized. And if you look at Demon Slayer as well, Demon Slayer had the same thing. You have the iconic scenes, the clipped moments that are going viral everywhere. And then you move on to the soundtrack. Now, there are many things that make up a wonderful soundtrack. Now, when you think of soundtrack, you think of original soundtrack, OSTs. You think of the Espada music for Bleach. You think of the Naruto OST when they're fighting. You think of One Piece's original soundtrack, Demon Slayer, when Tanjiro has that epic moment. You know those soundtracks, but that's not the only thing as well. We're talking endings, openings, and the original soundtrack. And if you look at Jujutsu Kaisen, what do we all know? The opening was incredible. Arguably should have won opening of the year, but we'll give it to Beastars because Beastars opening was amazing as well. And you just can't have Jujutsu Kaisen sweeping all the awards. But then you also have the ending, which won ending of the year. It was a popular consensus that Jujutsu Kaisen's ending was iconic, and it still is, and it's been rehashed for many other anime series, and it's gone viral on many different social media platforms. And then just the soundtrack itself within the story speaks for itself. Todo, Yuji Itadori versus Hanami, that soundtrack, come on. We already know the answer to that. And then voice acting. Now, voice acting for the dub, I would say, is more noticeable. For the people who are watching Jujutsu Kaisen subbed, it's very clear to see that the voice acting is at the top of its profession. You can tell just by the delivery, the way the voice actors deliver these lines really makes the moment hit, especially when you get into characters like Sukuna, Gojo, and Todo, and you have people like Megumi as well. Nobara's voice actor is excellent. So you just have a lot of high tier voice actors, and we're only getting more. I think we just got announced now that Mei, who you're gonna see, has Boa Hancock's voice actor. And I mean, guys, if you've watched One Piece, you know what you're about to be. You know what you're about to get. And in the art style is unique. And I think what's important about art style here is definitely how much it differs from other series as well. Can you point out a character and realize the differences in the Jujutsu Kaisen art style to other series like Bleach, other series like Attack on Titan, where Mappa Studios did have a hand in Attack on Titan as well, but you can see the clear difference. Jujutsu Kaisen has its own unique art style, and if you go into the manga, it has the same thing. So Jujutsu Kaisen across the board, just from presentation alone, I would say minimum a 9 out of 10. So we go on to the next phase. What is another thing that really lets you know that an anime is special? Enjoyability. And I feel like that's the most simple scale to measure whether an anime is special or not. And within enjoyability, you have another 3 categories with some subcategories for the third one. Number 1, you have the comedy. Now, I won't lie, I was very, very surprised at the comedic effect that Jujutsu Kaisen had in the anime and in the manga. I did not expect the comedy to be so natural, for it to just fit, for you to get it immediately. With some series, you kind of have to have a certain sense of humor to really get the comedy. But when I compare the comedy of Jujutsu Kaisen, I kind of compare it to things like One Piece, where no matter what sense of humor you have, there are moments that are just universally funny. And Jujutsu Kaisen delivers that comedy in a non-forced way, in a way that's so natural that it just feels right. And even if you don't laugh out loud or LOL, you're gonna gonna get a chuckle and you're gonna get a smile. And guys, I'm probably gonna release this video by the time the latest episode comes out this Friday. This episode is hilarious, absolutely hilarious. One of the funniest episodes you're gonna experience, because I was crying when I read this in the manga. And next up, you have action. Now, guys, action speaks for itself. The action speaks for itself. Do I even need to talk about this section? Because I honestly don't think I do. From the moment we saw Gojo versus Sukuna, from the moment we saw Sukuna versus Megumi, from the moment we saw Yuji versus that special grade curse, and then we obviously have the event now. We have the Goodwill event with Todo, Hanami, Yuji, Kamo, Megumi, Mekamaru, Panda. The action speaks for itself. I mean, Maki, guys, Maki Zain. I mean, my God, what a woman, what technique, what prowess, it's just unbelievable. And then we go on to the third most important factor from enjoyability, and I believe it's intrigue. Now, when we talk about intrigue, we're talking about the suspense, the drama, the expectation, and the relatability. Now, with Jujutsu Kaisen, they do a very good job of having very relatable characters, very relatable themes. The notion of the world itself and the way the world is built is meant to be relatable. The fact that curses are generated by negative human emotions mean that curses will always be prevalent. During Christmas time, when it's Christmas time, they mention this in the anime. Once Christmas is around, everybody's happy, so there's not many curses roaming around. So it's just the fact that the anime itself kind of immerses you in the world where you think, you know, this makes so much sense. And then you're wondering, okay, well, we have these type of curses here. You have people like Jogo and Hanami, and then they represent the earth and they represent the plants of the world and things of that nature. And then you're thinking to yourself like, okay, well, what's left? What other curses are out there? What other curses can be represented by the things that we know in this world? And I think that is something that would lead to expectation of how far can the author go with this series. And then you also have the Jujutsu Sorcerer world itself and the three great families. And you have all these plot points that are kind of being presented to you and they need to be discovered. Megumi's plot line, Yuji's plot line with the fingers, Gojo, how strong is Gojo really? Nobara, who is that girl in Nobara's life? And who are the villains? Who is this Mahito character? There's a lot of expectation around it, so it does a very good job of keeping you invested and engaged. And then the drama again speaks for itself. Look at Maki's story, look what she has to deal with. Look at Maki and Mai's story just from the last chapter, the last anime episode that we got. There's a lot to think about, and it's very dramatic, and there are tough times that people have to deal with as well. And then you have the suspense. They leave you off with very good cliffhangers. When Yuji first ate that finger, you wondered what was going to happen. When Sukuna finally took his place in Yuji's body and fought against Gojo, you had suspense. What's gonna happen? How good is Sukuna? What's gonna happen? When Yuji lost his heart and Sukuna was fighting against Megumi, were you not left in suspense? It seems that the anime is very good at immersing you in the story itself, and that is a credit to the author, that you can be so intrigued with the story and be so willing to follow along. And that is so important to having a special anime. So for me to rate this section of what makes an anime special, I'd probably give this one a 9.5 out of 10 as well, because it has all the elements of a special anime. And lastly, what is a key component, the final key component that will make you know what you're watching is something that you'll never forget and something that is completely iconic? It's the characters. Very simple. You say the characters, yes, but let's break it down here. What do we mean by the characters? Number one, lovable MC. Whether you stan Yuji or not, he's hard not to love. He's very simple, straightforward, earnest, and just wants to help people, wants to help his grandfather. Cool design, and you have his little sidekick Sukuna, and it's kind of like a nice little interesting dynamic. If you guys played Arkham Knight, it was kind of like the Joker and the Batman. You know, you just have one guy who's really trying to do the right thing and another guy who's just being a troll for 90% of the time. And then you get into the, I don't want to say degenerate, but we're gonna have to go there, but we're going into section 2. This is for the ladies. We have the lady killers. Everybody has them. Everybody needs them. And in this case, we have Gojo and Sukuna, two super iconic characters that will stand the test of time for the rest of anime history. There is no way on planet Earth that you can tell me that Gojo and Sukuna will not stand the test of time. All the women out there, they have their bays and they have their simps, and they will simp over Gojo and Sukuna to the end of time. But it's not just about the ladies as well, and it's not just about the people who are attracted to Gojo and Sukuna. It's also the waifus. Now guys, permitted here, I want you to understand, Nobara is 16. I want you to understand, Maki is 17. It doesn't disqualify them from being a waifu.
What do you mean by that?
But I ask, do you want to knock on the door from Chris Hansen? If not, let's be better, okay? So, but we still have the waifus. We also have Mei Mei as well. So we have an of-age waifu, but yes, iconic female characters that will be classified in the waifu debate. We have them. They're all here and they're all excellent and they're all fiery. We love them. And then lastly, we have the iconic villain. Now, Sukuna is obviously the iconic villain, and he's a villain at the moment in time. We don't know where this story will go. Obviously, I don't know because I'm not even caught up to the manga. But we also have Mahito. Now, Mahito is someone that is prevalent within the story so far. You see his face in the anime openings, and he has a very unique design, and he kind of has that carnage element to him that'll probably stand the test of time as well. Will he be one of the most iconic villains? I don't think so, but I think Sukuna will take that place, so I think Jujutsu Kaisen also fulfills that role. Now, guys, I've just mentioned the 3 aspects of Jujutsu Kaisen that will make it a special anime, and you can also follow that same format with Demon Slayer. You can follow that same format with One Punch Man. You can follow that same format with Attack on Titan. They all have the same makeup. So guys, Jujutsu Kaisen is going to blow up the moment we get into season 2 specifically. When the manga sales explode past Demon Slayer, because I believe that is going to happen, I think we're going to understand just how special this series is. So if you have not started Jujutsu Kaisen, 1, I apologize for the spoilers. 2, if you have not read the manga, I highly suggest you read the manga because the manga is absolutely brilliant. But overall, Jujutsu Kaisen is one of a kind. And I'm done. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you love Jujutsu Kaisen, you're in for a treat next season. Take care.